Hi guys, Penny Rose Journals, how you doing? Okay, we are here with a viewer request today. This little folder, I showed it briefly during a video recently and a couple of people have asked me how I made it. So I'm going to make another one because I can always use some more storage space. I keep all my little bits and pieces in here. As you can see, there's lots of little stamped things and just whatever's lying around that I think would fit in here that I could use for clusters or embellishments or whatever. So it's a very simple construction. I do not have any more of these though, so I'm going to use something a bit different. If you can get your hands on these, they're document wallets. They're a bit like these sort of page protectors, but they're much thicker. And they're also open on two sides. They're basically stuck down one short side and one long side, but they're open on the other two sides. So that's what I used for the construction of this one, and I think it's going to be a lot better because it's a lot more sturdy. I'm going to try making it with these document protectors, these page protectors, because it's all I've got. So we'll give it a go. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but we'll do our best. It's the same construction anyway, so if you have these document wallets, perfect, use those up. I used washi tape and I'm going to do that again because I find it sort of strengthens things up a bit and just gives my sewing machine something to grab a hold of. I don't think you can do this with just glue. You're going to need to sew. You could use fabric instead of the washi. Yeah, there's multiple ways you could probably do this. This is just the way I do it, and like I say, I'm not even sure how these page protectors are going to go. They're quite flimsy. These were the thickest ones I could find in my stash, but they're still quite flimsy things, as you would well know. So anyway, we're going to give it a go. I'll show you exactly what I did, and maybe you can make one of your own if you're that way inclined. Now I'm going to start by just sealing up this end of these page protectors. So they are now enclosed completely. Now I think washi is good here. You could use masking tape as well, any kind of thing like that. I just have a bunch of washi that I'm not really using a lot of, so I'm just going to use the washi. Masking tape might be a bit wider, it will give you a bit more sort of room to sew. You could use fabric, but I just like the fact the washi sort of sticks itself down. I'm not worrying about fabric sliding around the place, so yeah, I think it would be a bit difficult with fabric, but it could possibly be done. Anyway, I'm going to go along and seal all the ends of these pages because in the end of the day I'm going to cut open the long side of this this page protector, and I want this short side sealed up. So we'll seal them all, we'll go and sew them all, and then we'll come back and do the next step. Okay, we folded the washi over the ends of them all, and now we have sewn along that strip of washi. I just sewed these through my machine one after the other, so they're all joined up right at the moment. I'll cut them apart and we have a nice little stack of completely sealed page protectors, which is really handy. I did 10 of these, by the way. I'm going to do 2 signatures in this little book of 5 of these page protectors each. So anyway, they're all sealed along that one edge. Now we're going to cut one of these long edges, and I'm just debating which side. I decided in the end that I'm going to cut the side without the ring binding. Now that might seem a bit counterintuitive because the ring binding area is not being sort of used for anything, but I think it will provide just that little bit of sort of structure to the whole thing if I leave it on, because this is very thin. So I just want anything that will basically hold it that little bit more rigid to sort of stick around if I can. So I'm now going to take these and trim the long side of all of them, and then I'm going to divide them in half with a piece of washi, like so. Now I do run out of the washi and decide to leave the other ones whole. The first book that I made, I cut some of these pages into 3. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm only cutting them into 2 because I don't think they're stiff enough to support 3 pockets. I think they'll just become way too floppy with that kind of weight in them. So right at the moment I'm just putting that strip of washi down the middle. I'm not doing anything else. So I'm going to cut the long side off of each of these and stick a strip of washi down the middle, or across the middle, I guess, was the point in this instance. So we're just going to stick a piece of washi all the way along. I'm just going to fold it over at the ends so it's nice and neat and tidy. Put it aside and move on to the next one. Like I say, I think there's 4 pages. I run out of washi. I decide not to get a different washi. I'm just going to leave them as big tall pockets instead of 2 small pockets. Now with the pages that don't get the washi, these are basically finished. Once the top has been trimmed off, they are done. Nothing else needs to be sewn on those. With the shorter pockets, I will have to cut open the bottom pocket. So I will move through all of this cutting and taping and show you how I make the pockets in these after I've put them all together. Okay, here we have all the ones that need to be opened up into 2 pockets. So what we are going to do is take this little cutting mat. Now you can use whatever you've got that might fit in here. You can use pile of book pages if you like, as long as you're not going to cut through it, because you don't want to cut all the way through this bag. You only want to cut through one side. So I'm just using this little cutting mat. I'm just going to have to move it along slowly, just do a little bit at a time. And what I do is use my craft knife and cut along the bottom of this piece of washi, taking care not to cut through the washi. I'm just cutting directly along the bottom of it and making a slit in one side of the bag. That's why you need something that fits inside the bag, if you like, the page protector, because you only want to cut through one side of it. You don't want to cut all the way through. So now I have this little pocket in the bottom, and I'm going to sew along the piece of washi, and that will construct the pocket at the top for me. So I am going to go and trim all of these very carefully using my ruler and that piece of washi as a guide. I will cut a bottom pocket into all of these, and then I am going to take them to the sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch right across the middle of that washi, taking care not to, accidentally run offline and sew the bottom pocket shut again after I've taken the care to cut it apart. So it's easy enough. That's a fairly wide piece of washi. It's not too much of a drama. So if you had very, very thin washi, you could probably just do a straight stitch. I like to do a zigzag. I think it's a bit kinder on the plastic. It's very, very thin plastic. I don't think it's going to stand up to too much hardship in its life. Yeah, I'm not sure how long-lived this particular folder will be. I would definitely suggest, if you can get your hands on some of those document folders, it would be a lot more long-lived construction than this one will be. These page protectors are very thin. I think it will work for its purpose. You definitely won't be able to overload it, else your pages are just sort of going to hang out of the bottom of your book and cause you grief. But I still think it will work quite sufficiently, as long as you're not too over enthusiastic about the amount of stuff you try and stick into it. So, but the construction is exactly the same. I'm doing everything the same. It's just I don't have some of the same things lying around my craft room these days. Okay, I have cut them all and sewn them all. Again, I just ran them through my machine one after the other, so they're all sewn together. I did backstitch at the ends of everything I sewed, by the way, because you don't want this unraveling on you. But yeah, there we go. We have a little pocket at the bottom there, and now that we've sewed it across the middle, we have a pocket at the top as well. So I'm happy with those, actually. It's sort of stiffened them up a little bit, and of course we're using these sort of horizontally like this, so they're going to be sort of sewn down the middle, which is going to sort of help hold them a bit stiffer as well. So anyway, we will stack these up. I was going to stack them opposite ways around, but then I decided that I would like them stacked so that the pockets all open on the same side. It just makes it easier to know where your pockets are. They're a bit hard to see, to be honest. Obviously it's at the bottom of the washi, so that's how you tell, but there we go. There's a stack of 5 that makes one signature, and there's one with the 2 pockets for the next signature, and then all the rest of the pockets will be full length for that signature. So yeah, we have 6 pockets that have double pockets and 4 pockets that have just the single pocket. So anyway, next step is finding something to sew them to. Now you'll notice, I'll show you in a moment, the construction of the red one. What I've done is basically find a piece of card that's the right size, cut it to the right size, and then I'm going to sew these with a straight stitch straight to this piece of card, and that is basically going to be stuck into the spine of the book. And this is the piece of card I'm going to use. It's an exercise book cover that has been collaged with just some scrapbook paper and painted over a bit. And I'm going to just cut it to size. I'll decide how wide I want it just by measuring this spine. It's basically the same construction, so I'm going to make it about the same size. I think I'll make it a little bit bigger, but yeah, and then I'm going to cut a strip out of it and prepare it to sew these little plastic signatures in. Okay, so I basically want to sew these two little signatures in equal distances from the edge of the piece of card. So yeah, just so that it looks nice more than anything. So I'm just going to measure a little bit and put a line down. Because these are obviously transparent, I can see that line when I'm sewing, and it will just make things quite easy to run through the sewing machine. You can crease these page protectors if you just sort of squish them a little, so I can make a center line in those and just line it up with this line I've drawn down my piece of card and simply sew them on. So I will take them away to the sewing machine now and do that, and we'll basically have, you know, our signature block, if you like, constructed, and we just have to make a cover for it. Okay, there it is, and now we just have to build a cover. So I am going to build the cover the same way I would build any book cover. I'm just going to grab something for the spine, and then I'll grab some card for the front and back cover, cut it all to size. I'm going to use the tape that I normally use to build a book to tape the spine to the covers, and yeah, then I'll cover it with some fabric. You can cover it with anything you like, but I'm just going to use fabric. It's the way I did the first one, and it's just a simple cover. This is just going to sit on my desk. I don't really care what it's covered in. I'm not making it for somebody else, so I will. I'll just cover it with whatever I can find in my craft room first. So yeah, I'm just going to use this piece of lever arch folder for the spine. It's probably a bit of overkill for this book. It doesn't really need to be this sturdy, but that's what I laid my hands on first. For the front and back covers, I actually find some card pages that were out of a children's lettering book. I stick a couple of those together and cut them to size for the front and back covers. I just stick two together because they're quite thin and flimsy, and I thought it would be nice to have a little bit more sturdiness in the front and back covers than they were going to provide as they were. So I will just glue them together and then cut them to size, and yeah, like I say, stick this cover together as I would a normal book cover. Okay, this is the fabric that I found that I'm going to use. This was big long strips of a navy blue, just sort of cotton fabric that was given to me by a quilter. I don't know why there was big long strips of it, but I had quite a lot of it. So I sort of sewed it into this one piece of fabric, just very loosely. I was actually using it as cushion covers for my dog's bed, so this was just the offcuts that was left. So that's laying around here, and that's what I'm going to use. So it will look a little bit interesting on my desk, who knows. Anyway, let's cut these sheets down, these cardboard sheets down, and get this book constructed. And again, you have seen me use this tape before. This is cloth tape. It is very strong, it is very sturdy, it is super sticky. It never lets go, and I've never had any issues with it becoming non-sticky over time. So it's my preferred method of sticking books together. You can use fabric and glue if that is what you prefer. This is just a lot neater, a lot tidier, a lot easier for me, and like I say, I have found it to always be a very good method of doing it. So yeah, anything to make life easier, really. So there we go, there's our book. Super quick, super easy. Now we just have to cover it and then get our little signature block in it. Now this is a quite thick, sturdy fabric. I'm just going to cut it to size, and I'm going to glue it straight to the cover. I'm not going to worry about padding it out with something first. I'm not worried about the glue seeping through it. Like I say, it's quite thick, and I won't be putting my glue on that thick. And I don't need a padded cover because, like I say, it's just for me. It's just going to sit on my desk and hold bits and bobs, so I'm quite happy to glue it that way. If you would like to line your cover, by all means, you can do that, but for this little booklet I'm not going to bother. So I'm just going to get to gluing this straight to the cover and basically constructing it like you would a school book cover, just pinching in the corners and folding it over. Yeah, I am going to glue it all the way around the cover, front and back, so that it's nice and stuck on, and then we'll think about our little signature and lining and all the rest of it. So yeah, first I'll do this, but I'm not going to show you me squeezing glue for the next 10 minutes. Nobody wants to watch that. I will just show you me doing this corner. It's, like I say, very simple. I'm just sort of pinching it in around the corner as I go and gluing it just at an angle like that, and then I will glue everything down flat, just the way you would cover a book with paper or anything else. So very, very simple. Okay, that's the cover glued on. Now this is where it sort of deviates from the way I would normally make a book. Normally I would have sewn my signature block to some fabric, and we would be sticking the fabric in there. In this case it's just sewn to a piece of card, and the piece of card is going to be stuck directly to the spine of the book. Now that's definitely not the way I normally construct a book, but this is a bit different. So yeah, we're going to stick this piece of card directly to the spine, and then we will think about lining the inside of the book so that things look neat and tidy. But essentially, once this is stuck to the spine, our book is finished. Everything else is just gravy. I mean, the cover was just gravy, to be honest. So yeah, if you want a very basic book, just stick this to the book spine that you had made, and don't even cover it. But yeah, it might as well look nice if it's going to sit on my desk, hey? So we will glue this and clamp it down so that it adheres nicely to the spine of our book, and then we will yeah, like I say, see about tidying things up a bit with a couple of strips of fabric and some more card. And then we'll be absolutely and utterly complete, and we'll have our little storage book. So anyway, let's find some scrap fabric to finish off the edges of this spine, and then we'll get to making the inside cards and it'll be done. Okay, I am just going to use this fabric and just cover up the edges of that piece of card we stuck in the spine, and I'm just going to bring it through across the back of the book and across the front of the book a little, just to tidy up that area where the spine bends. So yeah, it'll be covered up with the fabric, and then I will use a piece of card to cover up any sort of remaining areas, so it's all neat and tidy. I'll do that again at the front, and then we will cut cards and place them over the top, covering up any of the inside of the front and back covers that still you can see. Okay, the remainder of this card is pretty much perfect for this job. It's a little tall. I'll cut that piece off, and then I'm just going to cut it in half and it will be spot on. So I will do those two things and we'll get it stuck down. Okay, well, we kind of start sliding out of view while I'm working on this, but it is what it is. All I'm doing is pinning down the edges with bulldog clips, and I will turn it around and go and do exactly the same thing at the back. Just put plenty of glue on that card and then squash it on and pin it down, and then I leave it there for a little while. Okay, here we have it. This is our finished little book. It's done. So it's pretty easy, and I think the whole thing took me maybe 2.5 hours from beginning to end, and that, includes me running around looking for this and that while I'm constructing. So yeah, pretty quick project. We'll just shove a few things in the pockets so that you get the idea of how they're used. That is one of the full-length pockets, just popping a few things in there and popping a few more things in another full-length pocket, and then I will collect some things off of my desk and put in some of the half pockets so you can just see how they work. It's pretty self-explanatory, I'm sure, but just so that you know. They're just some little cards made out of scraps of paper. There you go, pop those in a bottom pocket, and I've got here some slides, so I'll pop them in the top. And there we have it. There's our little folder with all its little bits and pieces inside and its little pockets on board. So yeah, it's really easy to do. I'm just going to run off and find something to hold it shut with, just a piece of dyed bed sheet or something, and yeah, just make a simple tie around the middle, and it's ready to just sit on my desk and hold ephemera for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little project. Like I say, it was a requested project, so those of you who were looking forward to it, I hope it lived up to its hype. And yeah, maybe you can try making one of your own. Like I say, those document folders that are open on two sides that are quite sturdy, definitely a better option, but it can be made with just these paper protectors, the page protectors, and we'll have tons and tons of those if we have any office supplies lying around, I'm sure, because I have about 4 lever arch folders full of them. So yeah, good to use a few. Anyway, I used up 10. Okay, guys, thanks for spending your time with me today. I really appreciate your company, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.